yellow hammer, come see how we rock this. Alabama fans the best, there's no way you can top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this. The process.
Hey everyone, welcome into The Process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I am your host, Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on our YouTube page. Go ahead, be sure to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube so you can stay updated on all of our content. The Process airs every Thursday and Tuesday evening right here on our YouTube page. And it is game week for the Crimson Tide as they will kick off their 2020 football season on this Saturday as they will hit the road to take on the Missouri Tigers on Saturday night. And when you look at the Crimson Tide's roster and the depth chart for their first game of the season, if you take a look at their defensive depth chart, you will see two true freshmen. And when you look at former four-star defensive back Malachi Moore, as he would start within the Tide's secondary as a defensive back. Then you go to the Tide's jack outside linebacker position, you will see another true freshman and former five-star outside linebacker and Will Anderson starting in that position. And on this episode of The Process, in the spirit of the Tide starting two true freshmen on this weekend, I want to take a look at three guys who are currently committed to the Crimson Tide who will try to make their impact on the defensive side of the football when they enroll into the University of Alabama during their first year for the Crimson Tide. So I want to take a look at that. And with recruiting news being a bit slow at the moment, I am not going to roll into recruiting updates. I'm just going to roll into those three guys, break down why I feel those guys can come in and make that immediate impact. So with that being said, let's get the process started. I am going to start with the guy who will not be a true freshman. He will be a JUCO transfer for the Crimson Tide here in this 2021 recruiting class. When you look at Kyrie Jackson, we have him listed as a four-star defensive back coming out of East Mississippi Community College in Scooba, Mississippi. I feel this guy will have an opportunity to come in and make an immediate impact because he is one of the more technically sound defensive backs you are going to see coming out of this 2021 recruiting class, even among the JUCO defensive back rankings. This is a kid who is very, very physical, a kid who likes to attack the football, which is something I really like about his game. He is not trying to attack the football, attack the player when the ball is in the air. This is a kid who is going after the football, whether that is making pass deflections or trying to force a turnover by making an interception. I am really excited to see what this kid can do at the next level, and I think he will have that opportunity to come in and make an immediate impact, possibly work his way into a starting position. Of course, Nick Saban has made it very clear that they have no problem starting true freshmen. They are keeping that trend going during this 2020 football season, already starting two freshmen, of course, as I talked about earlier, and more in Anderson. So Kyrie Jackson is the first guy to watch out for. Then I am going to make my way to Deontay Lawson, the four-star linebacker who is committed to the Tide here in this 2021 recruiting class out of Mobile Christian School in Mobile, Alabama. And when I look at these guys, I am not predicting what the Tide's roster will look like in 2021 because it is kind of difficult for multiple reasons. You usually can just think about how guys play during this season and try to predict it, but one huge factor is affecting everyone's prediction when you look at what a roster could look like in 2021, and that is the fact that this year does not count to everyone's eligibility. So you basically can come back a year and you never know who will take advantage of that. I'm solely basing it off what these guys have done so far in high school football careers. And I think Deontay Lawson is a kid to look out for. This is a kid who is instinctive at that inside linebacker position, a taller and a more lengthier inside linebacker at 6'3", possibly heading to 6'4" before he enrolls into the University of Alabama. An athlete, a kid with some all-around athleticism. I think he has some great closing speed. I think he is a kid that could be game ready, but of course it is a lot to learn at that inside linebacker position, which is probably going to be the thing that could get him on the field earlier or stop him from getting on the field, especially at that inside linebacker position, whether that is the Will or the Mike position. You have to know what you are doing out there, most definitely. But Deontay Lawson is a kid who I think has the physical abilities to come in and possibly make an immediate impact, but I think the mental part of the game is going to be where he needs to grow the most to make sure that he can get on the field. For the last guy here, I am going into the trenches, going to 5-star defensive tackle Damon Payne. I think this kid has a lot of potential at that defensive tackle position. A kid who weighs between 290 pounds and 300 pounds at the moment. A very explosive defensive tackle prospect. This is a kid who has a quick jump off the ball, a kid who can get to the backfield very, very fast, and I think that is something that's going to translate to the next level. His quickness off the ball, he really fits that mold of what a defensive tackle, a modern defensive tackle looks like in today's college football game. And I think he is another guy who could come in and make that immediate impact. And we have seen this multiple times over the last couple of seasons for the Crimson Tide at that defensive tackle position. They started DJ Dale on last season. He is one of their starting defensive linemen on this season, heading into their first game. When we look at the depth chart, right behind DJ Dale is a true freshman in Tim Smith. Of course, that means Damon Payne will have to work his way into this rotation, have to put in some hard work to get an opportunity to play on the field, basically. But when you look at his film, he's a kid that has that potential to come in and make an impact along the defensive front as a freshman. That's it for this episode of The Process. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube so you can stay updated on all of our content. Then head over to touchdownalabama.com. Pick up your subscription. With that subscription, you will be able to read all of our subscriber-only articles. Get your hands on our yearly print magazine issue. Also get a chance to read all of our in-depth scouting reports on each Tide commit and each recruiting class. Also read our in-depth draft projection for every Tide player who is eligible to declare for the NFL draft in that particular year. So be sure to check out all of that with your subscription to touchdownalabama.com. Also, head over to your app store, whether that is the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Be sure to download the Touchdown Alabama app so breaking news notifications about the Crimson Tide football team can be sent right there to your mobile device. As always, I am Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine.